Welcome to the 3 o'clock Wake Up Call Weekly Connection. I'm Laura Bussey, your host. Thank you so much for joining me in the mountains of Colorado. We have been spending some time looking at faith heroes in the Bible and mountaintop experiences they had, and then applying it to our everyday life. Pretty soon, we're going to go up the mountain with Jesus and his 3 best friends. But before we do that, I want you to know why I'm sitting next to a hummingbird feeder and why I'm dressed in red and have red shoes and a red purse and red flowers. I'm hoping that sometime during this time we have together, some hummingbirds will come visit. I hope. The reason why I chose hummingbirds is because they remind me of our theme today. And it is the ups and downs of friendship are worth it. I've watched hummingbirds come into this hummingbird feeder, and 2 will come in and they'll swoop in harmony, and they'll share the sweet taste of the sugar water, and they'll fly off away happy as can be. And then next thing I know, the 2 birds are just fighting with each other. And it reminds me of true friendship. True friendships are you're there in the ups and you're there in the downs. And over time, it's definitely worth it. And the reason why I bring that up this week is because this past weekend, I got to spend time with dear friends from high school and college. We came together on a Zoom call from all over the country to remember our dear friend Lori, who passed away 1 year ago. And boy, did we have some great stories to share. We lit a candle, we shared stories, we shared pictures, we laughed, we loved. And at the very end of the call, I apologized. And I said, I am so sorry that it took Lori's death to bring us all back together. And it is an example of how God can use all things for good, because we left that call promising that we would not let 5 years or 10 years or more go between the times that we got together and shared life and shared our friendship. And so that time reminded me of how important it is to share our ups and downs with friends. And that's exactly what I did with Lori. I moved from Indiana to Massachusetts when I was 13 years old in 7th grade. And Lori could see that I was so down. I was missing my friends and family I'd known my whole life. Lori took me under her wing and we became fast friends. Her friends became my friends. I started sleeping over at her house. Pretty soon I was going away on vacation to Nantucket with her family. I have so many incredible memories with Lori. I remember how she talked me in to becoming class president. She said, I'll make the posters. I'll be your campaign manager. All you have to do is give the speech. And sure enough, we won. And it was awesome. And I think 8th grade was amazing because we had so much fun together. And right after graduation, we hit a lull. We went camping without our parents knowing. And in the middle of the night, I'll never forget, her dad and my dad go tromping through the woods. And they're like, okay, party's over. And we got thrown in the back of the car, and we were grounded for what felt like forever. And so that was a down. I remember saying, Lori, we're going to be grounded forever. We're never going to get out of this. And she just laughed. Yes, we will. And sure enough, high school, we had so many ups. We double dated together. We went through breakups together. We had so much fun, and we got in more trouble. And that's the kind of way it went with Lori. We had highs and lows. And we also went to college together. We went to the University of Vermont, and we had a great time pledging the same sorority, and then we didn't get the housing that we wanted. And then we had great time, and then we had fallouts with boyfriends and all kinds of drama in college. And I'll never forget graduating from the University of Vermont, and Lori was on a high and I was on a low. And I said, you know, it's never going to be the same. Lori, will never be this close again in our lives. And she somehow convinced me that we would walk through our whole lives together. And so in the beginning we did. We had more highs. We got married to our college loves. We had babies and we had more celebrations. And then we hit a low. And somehow Lori got stuck in the down. She got stuck in the low. And I remember walking, at that time she lived in San Diego, and I remember walking on the beach with her, and she said, Laura, I've lost everything. I've lost my marriage. I've lost my career. Lost my daughter. I've lost everything. And what happened is all that partying and all that fun that we had in life, it had hit the bottom, hit rock bottom actually, when Fun became an addiction led to alcoholism, and alcoholism led to death. It just, it makes me so angry. The enemy loves to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's what happened with a beautiful life of my dear friend, Lori. And I will always regret that I didn't have more opportunities to tell her how much I cared about her later in life. I let the busyness of raising 3 kids and the busyness of pre-COVID life and the fast pace of things just let years go between us. And if I could go back, I would have picked up the phone more often. I would have carved out time to tell her how much I care, and I would have put in the effort. And that's a challenge I have for you this summer. I think it's time that we start prioritizing, start prioritizing friendships. I want to look at Jesus's life and why did he go up the mountain with his best friends? And why did they get to be eyewitnesses to his complete transformation? I believe it's because he shared life with his friends, the ups and the downs. And Jesus believes, like I do, that it's worth it. If you look at Jesus's life, you're going to see things that are different about him than maybe what we're seeing right now in our culture. I think it's such an amazing timing to look at Jesus and how he spent with his friends. The things that he prioritized were diversity. Jesus chose this band of brothers to become his disciples, and they were so diverse from one another and him. If you think about who Jesus was, he not only was the Word of God, he knew every word in the Bible, but he was also a rabbi. So he was at the highest level of education. And the first 5 guys he called to become his disciples were Peter, James, John, Andrew, and Philip. They were fishermen. So at some point in their life, they had gotten kicked out of Hebrew school. But Jesus called them and said, "Follow me." And one of those guys, Peter, had a hot head. And he is known for being the son of thunder and having a quick fuse. So just imagine. So Jesus calls the hot-headed one. And then also he calls Matthew, the tax collector, who was the outcast. He was the one everyone hated because he was taking money from the Jews, keeping some and giving the rest to the Roman government. So he calls hot-headed guys, he calls fishermen, low education, he calls an outcast. He also called Thomas a doubter. So let's just throw some negativity in there. So we've got the guy who's always doubting, and then we've got Simon the Zealot. Okay, let's just throw in the guy that's going to stir the political pot, and he's going to say, these are the guys who should be elected, and he's going to sit around the fire and talk about politics. And then think of Judas. Oh my goodness, he was stealing from the brothers. He was taking out money from the ministry. So you think of all these men that Jesus called his best friends. They were hot-headed, they were doubters, they were negative. I'm sure they had all kinds of ups and downs together. But Jesus valued diversity. He also valued inclusion. If you think about the time where Jesus walked on the earth, women were pressed down. But Jesus looked at women and he lifted them up. Some of his best friends were women. So Mary and Martha and Lazarus, he stayed at their house. He ate with them. He taught them. He spent time with them. He loved them. Mary Magdalene, Jesus went to her and healed her of 7 demons and invited her to spend the rest of her life with him. He loved women. So he loved inclusion and he loved diversity. And the last thing is Jesus prioritized friendship. And I think that's something we can learn. So at the first miracle of Jesus's life was he turned water into wine. Yes. For friends. He knew how important it was to them, and I'm sure it was priceless in their eyes. He also raised Lazarus from the dead. Oh my gosh. He wept with Mary and Martha. I'm focused. It reminds me, this summer is such an important time to focus on our friends. There have been friends that we have lost track of over time. And I'm going to encourage you to reach out and tell her or tell him that you still care. And I've come up with 4 steps that we can take. TELL. T is for time. Time. Take the time to reach out, carve a time in your calendar where you can reach out to the friend and schedule a time to be together. E is for effort. Make the effort. Make the effort to set up a Zoom call or set up FaceTime or visit face to face. You'll never regret it. L is for love. Just tell her how much you love her. Tell her you're sorry that so much time has passed. And I'm sure within no time at all, your hearts will be healed. And the last L is to laugh together. Talk about how silly your hair looked in middle school, or what a ridiculous idea it was to do that in college, and just laugh. Laughter has a way of mending hearts. And it reminds me of Jesus, that no matter what his friends did, he never let go of them. So there may be a friend that you need to forgive and still reach out to her. If you think about Jesus, Judas denied him, Peter betrayed him, his disciples abandoned him except for John, and still he loved them. He loved them so much. And remember, he lifted up women at the end of his time in life. When he came back from the grave, Mary Magdalene was the first one to see him. So when you reach out to your friends, I want you to think about valuing diversity, valuing inclusion, and valuing prioritizing friendships this summer. We have given you 3 questions below this blog or on the app, and those 3 questions will lead you into opportunities and encourage you to reach out to your friends. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week, friend. Take care.